At one time, as you probably know, the city had no credit rating. Now we have Standard and Poor's, I believe, at AA, and Moody's is about AA3, I believe. At one time, we were taking revenue anticipation loans just to make payroll. So no one person can get the credit for all of that progress. It's always a team effort.
Hello and welcome to the Potomac Local News Podcast, where we connect our communities in Fredericksburg, Manassas, and Woodbridge, one story at a time. I'm your host, Uriah Kaiser, the founder and publisher of PotomacLocalNews.com. Today, we're speaking with Mayor Janette Rishell of Manassas Park. After a decade of dedicated service to her community, starting as a council member in 2013 and becoming mayor in 2017, Mayor Rishell is retiring. Her leadership has played a significant role in shaping Manassas Park into the growing city it is today.
But before we dive into our conversation, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. Your support helps us reach more listeners. For the latest news and updates across Fredericksburg, Manassas, Stafford, and Woodbridge, visit PotomacLocalNews.com. While you're there, sign up for our free daily email newsletter to stay informed and connected to your community. As a local news organization, we're only as valuable as those who support our work. Consider becoming a member. It's less than what you probably paid for lunch today. Just click join on our website to help us continue delivering important stories like this one. Have a story, tip, or feedback? Send us an email at news@PotomacLocal.com. I personally read every message, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you. And now on with the Potomac Local News Podcast.
Mayor Janette Rishell has been a pillar of leadership in Manassas Park for over a decade. She joined the city council in 2013 and was elected mayor in 2017, serving 2 terms. During her tenure, she has focused on economic development, infrastructure improvements, and enhancing the quality of life for residents. Under her leadership, the city has seen substantial growth and progress, including key initiatives to modernize the city services and expand community programs. As she prepares to retire, we're taking a look back at her remarkable career and the impact she's made on the community. Mayor, thanks for coming on with us today on the Potomac Local News Podcast.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here. I appreciate the invitation.
You are, when we look back at this, the change that we've seen in Manassas Park, I'll take us back to 2008. When things weren't looking so great. The city was recovering. The whole country, in fact, was in the financial crisis. But the city felt it particularly hard because the city was in a financial crisis of its own. It had put a lot of money into its community center, which has turned out to be a great investment. That place is thriving. It's a vibrant place of community. What it's become since it was built in the mid-aughts. But we have seen the city come a long way from that point in time to now when we're talking about building a downtown for Manassas Park. I never thought we'd see the day where we're actually talking about the downtown for Manassas Park. And you've been here for all of it. What do you make of that?
Well, as you know, there was a lot of debt run up in the 2000s, a huge amount of debt. And my purpose is not to relitigate whether that should have been spent or not spent, but nevertheless, had to deal with all the repercussions, all the unintended consequences that went along with that debt. At one time, it was approximately $160 million. And at that time, the population of the city was much less. So I would say that was the biggest challenge that the city had to face. And whatever challenges the city has is also the challenges that the governing body has and the staff has. But I will say that working together, the teamwork, the city could have never moved forward without wonderful teamwork. and a wonderful city manager. Over 6 years, we were able to turn around the financial position of the city. We were able to avoid state intervention for fiscal distress. So we cut the general obligation bond from about 160 million to about 75 million. And we did it very carefully through frugal management. And we were very careful to refinance in a way that didn't kick the can down the road. So,
And we talked about this community center
yeah.
that has become a place of community. It's been embraced by its residents and the community at large. I've been to many regional events. I mean, I believe even the governor held an event there at one point. I think he might have been running for governor at the time, but yet he came to the Manassas Park Community Center. And now, so on building on that success, we now have Park Central, which is the new city hall and the new restaurants that are going in down on Manassas Drive. So when you look back at your time in office, undoubtedly the city has grown, the population has grown. So what role do you believe that you played in driving the transformation of Manassas Park?
I think that my role was that of working with the governing body and with staff. No single person can accomplish what was accomplished. It was a team effort. And through that team effort, we came a long way. At one time, as you probably know, the city had no credit rating. Now we have Standard and Poor's, I believe, at AA, and Moody's is about AA3, I believe. At one time, we were taking revenue anticipation loans just to make payroll. So no one person can get the credit for all of that progress. It's always a team effort.
When you talk about having a shared, some people say having a shared vision is key to a success like you've
Yes.
seen. Talk about that vision and how was it difficult at times to keep it clear, keep it in sight, keep it in view, despite some of the challenges that you had. Talk about that.
I think it is, and I think we were fortunate to have so many involved with that shared vision. Uh, it was difficult in that the city had so many needs, and we have so many fantastic staffers. They have stayed with the city through thick and thin, and they're with us now. We still do have a certain amount of turnover because we cannot afford to pay the salaries that, for example, Manassas or Prince William can pay. But I think seeing all the needs was the greatest challenge because our staff is forced to do so much with so little.
When so you're retiring. What led to this decision to retire and I guess move on and do things?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So now that you're looking at retiring, you're stepping away from the governing body. What led to
Yes.
that decision? When did you wake up and decide that it was time to do something different?
It is time. I'm a supporter of term limits. I've had 4 years on council and 8 years as mayor, so that I think 12 years is enough for a single individual to have an impact on local public policy. I leave a wonderful governing body. Mayor-elect Mensing will be a fantastic mayor. We have a strong staff structure. We have excellent staffers.
And it is coming in for a time of change. You mentioned the mayor-elect Alana Mensing. She was a council member just like you, who was
Yes.
elected this year in 2024 in November to
Yes.
succeed you in the mayoral position. As you pass the baton to Mayor-elect Mensing, what do you hope she carries forward from your tenure? Are there particular lessons or principles you believe that are crucial for Manassas Park's success?
Oh, the only thing I would say is I have always tried to take a balanced perspective of issues, people, current events, and I would encourage her to continue to have, and she does have a balanced perspective, and I would encourage her to maintain that. I think that's important for anyone in any elected office.
not only are we seeing a change in leadership on the governing body, we're also seeing a new city manager who is coming in to replace Laszlo Palko,
Yes.
who left earlier this year. Your new city manager is coming all the way from SeaTac, Washington, the West Coast. So there's going to be an adjustment for, I imagine, for that person to get into the swing of things here on the East Coast. So knowing that there's a lot of change coming in, looking ahead, what are your hopes and aspirations for the city that helped govern for the past 12 years? I mean, what advice would you give city residents, city employees, people who are just interested in making this community a better place? What advice can you leave them with?
Well, I would encourage all the residents to be volunteers doing something for the city, whatever they would feel most comfortable doing. I would hope that we will continue to develop the downtown. I think that's key to our success as a city. We continue to strive to be an entertainment destination. From all the studies we had done, that was the most market viable option, and that's what we're going forward with. So I hope the city continues to fill its storefronts, continues to promote economic development, because that's key to our lowering taxes. Everyone knows that Manassas Park has the highest tax rate in Virginia, and we really want to lower that, and economic development is the key. We'd also like to be able to pay our staff a higher salary. As I mentioned earlier, in comparison to other jurisdictions, they are underpaid. Um, I look forward to finishing the VRE garage. That will happen sometime in 2025. It'll have a total of 740 spaces, and the city will have access to the garage on the off time when the VRE riders do not use it. So that will assist with people who come into the city to do shopping. And we still have the old ground lot too, in addition to the parking garage. So I would say residents, when we're all developed and we're raring to go, please buy local. Please shop in Manassas Park for your gas or for whatever you're able to shop here for.
One of the things that I remember talking to Ken Moore, who is the owner of Girani Coffee in Manassas, and I believe Ken Moore is going to open a Girani Coffee location in Manassas Park. And he told me that he wanted to open in Manassas Park first. That was his preferred place to open, and now he actually has the opportunity to do so there at Park Central. And so that, I think, to me speaks volumes of the type of community that the residents see the city as. I mean, if you're not familiar with Manassas Park and you just kind of drive down Manassas Drive, and it looks, depending upon what part of the street you're on, which Manassas Drive is the main thoroughfare through the city, it looks very different in various places along that drive, and you might think to yourself that this is a really hodgepodge type of development layout. Different classes of neighborhoods we have here, but I think over the years we've seen the community really come together because, and maybe I don't want to editorialize, but maybe because of these investments that have been made, starting when times were tough in the mid-aughts. With the community center, and now further along we see down to Park Central. What do you think? Do you agree with that?
I think we have for so long been underestimated as a city, and part of that was we needed branding. We needed to bring in the development. We needed to develop the downtown. We need to make people aware that we have the plaza, which we try to hold as many events as possible. Farmers market, Christmas events, yoga, stretching events, whatever you can think of, it will be a reality in the plaza. So I think we're changing our image throughout the Northern Virginia region, and that's a really good thing.
That farmers market you just brought up is booming. It is doing well from all accounts. Everything that we've seen, everyone who talks to us and tells us what they experience when they go out there, whether they're out there during the day or I know there's a night market that happens during the summer. It is getting high reviews, and and from what I can tell, bringing more people into the city. Let me ask you, just before you ride off into the sunset and you go on to what's next. Is there anything looking back that you might have done differently? Do you have any regrets? And maybe something went one way, and maybe it could have went another way in terms of, whether it be a transportation project. Obviously, we've spent a lot of time over your tenure talking about Route 28 and
Yes. Yes.
the bypass, Route 28 bypass, and then widening Route 28. We've seen the proliferation of data centers in our area, and Manassas Park, you're pretty built out. I don't know how much open space you have for football fields of data centers in your city, if you have any at all. But so we've seen all these changes during your tenure, in the city, and of course in the neighbors as well. These other communities that touch Manassas Park. Is there something that you might have wished would have went differently, or something you would have done differently given the opportunity to do it again?
I don't think there is anything that I would have done differently because I've always tried to remain flexible. Some things work out, some things do not work out. And I think elected officials have to realize that you can start out in one direction and then things happen, things change, and you end up moving in another direction. So I don't focus on what could have been. I'm just more or less focused on, I'm so happy what the city's achieved. That's what I'm focused on.
And I imagine you're focused on what is next. So tell all of us what is next for you and your family. What will be keeping you busy now that you don't have to worry about coming to meetings on Tuesday nights that can last for hours and do the people's business. What will you be doing with your time now?
Well, I will miss it. I will miss it greatly. But as I said, I'm a supporter of term limits. I have hobbies that I can pursue. I want to visit my family more in North Carolina. As you probably know, I lost my husband and my older daughter, so it makes even more important visiting my younger daughter and the grandchildren in North Carolina. And I have a granddaughter in New Orleans, and I look forward to visiting her. My hobbies, I intend to spend more time with my hobbies. I have, my favorite hobby is rather geeky. I enjoy translating ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic writing. And also I enjoy shooting. I'll be going to the range more, so that'll be fun.
What kind of market is there for a translation of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic? That's interesting. I don't think anybody's ever told me that before.
There is no market whatsoever. It's for the pure joy of it, and along with translating, you get some Egyptian history. It's a lot like a philosophy major. There's not a lot of call for that.
That's right. Well, that's. I mean, it sounds fun, and like I said, nobody has ever told me that is their hobby. So that's a first for me. So I appreciate you sharing with me. I will just say thank you for everything you've done. As I led with at the top of this discussion, you have seen a lot of change in this city, and you came in at a time when things weren't so great. And I know things could always be better, and that's probably that's the truth everywhere you go.
Sure.
But we've certainly seen some improvement here in Manassas Park.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, you have been on that council, that governing body that has guided the ship to get the city where it is today. And
well,
so
and I
thank
pray.
You
Thank you, and I pray that the city continues to flourish.